Something.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Beyer from GAI Insights, and welcome to our daily GenAI executive briefing, where we discuss and rate top news items. Our team of AI analysts rate each article as essential, important, and optional for executive and leaders at companies. Today's briefing is sponsored by Custom GPT. Custom GPT is a software company with a leading no-code solution for companies to create their own chat GPT using their own content. Some of their customers include Adobe, Medtronic, Dropbox, MIT, and hundreds of others. Today's leader is Dave DeLallo. Dave, take us over.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, analysts. Kaj, let's get us started.
Sure, thanks, Dave. So the first news article that we have for today is from Merck. So Merck's subsidiary Millipore Sigma, they have launched a new drug discovery software called Edison, which uses generative AI to perform some of its functionality.
All right. So normally I would toss this to Tim. He's on vacation. He's our resident expert in all things drugs and biology. But I don't know, John, how about you sub in for him today?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that for me, this is absolutely essential for anybody in the, pharma business, and maybe essential more broadly, because I think it makes the point that I think in 2024, we're going to see these knowledge appliances or industry platforms that are Gen AI created. And, this thing is looking at 10 to the 60. I don't even know what the name of that word is, right? In terms of possible molecules and options it's looking at and then navigating that space. So I think it's essential in terms of real value add.
Dave, I rated it as important because I was at GE. We were working on new product introduction cycles to be shrunk, right? And it's not only very important that this is creating new molecules, but the fact that it is connected to the synthesizer and then the testing platform. So these three steps are put together into speeding up the cycle. This is where the incremental game of new product development is going to be played. The faster the cycles, the more applications with incremental revenue coming from the AI application. So I think it's very important to point it out that this is happening, and this type of platforms are important for our executives to look for in the new product introduction cycles.
All right. Well, do you think you'd be willing to bump it up to essential then, to agree with?
Yeah, I would, but it's just biotech, right? It's an example, right? But I think as an example, with us pointing it out, Paul, I think it can be essential.
And make sure I understand, Dave, I only skimmed this. This is actually a new platform. So we've seen a lot of instances where companies are kind of do-it-yourself, building it to speed the production process and discovery process. This is a company that's saying, I'm going to come out with a platform, an ERP, a drug discovery, for which other drug companies will buy it.
Correct. It's a SaaS platform. You can create your molecules. The second part is important. They attached it to their lab synthesizer. So you create a lot of molecules, and then you might not be able to synthesize them, right? And then you need to test them for your application. So the third step, they don't mention it here, is also important. Maybe it's taken inside, right? So that's the cycle.
Yeah, I think we're going with essential. Given that cycle, given everything that we're talking about, that sound good to everybody?
Yes.
All right. What's next?
Okay. The next one is a sort of case study type of article where WSJ has highlighted 5 companies who have adopted generative AI in 2023.
Yeah, I'll jump in here quickly on this one. I saw this one as essential because it just presents a number of different messages that I think are important for AI leaders to see. I mean, it includes IDC's spend prediction, which gives you an idea of, how companies around the world might be spending going forward, which, as we know, is going to keep accelerating. it talks about how in cases it still makes sense to use traditional AI because it works better and it's less expensive. Although then there's another counterpoint by one of the other companies they highlighted, I can't remember which one, that said the opposite, that it's actually less expensive to build something with generative AI as opposed to using a convolutional neural network as the base because it's simply faster to deploy. There was another interesting message about using smaller models to save electricity, with the projection that AI could take up 3.5% of global electricity usage by 2030. And you guys know I'm always following that topic. There just was a lot in here, which I thought made it for an essential read. But I'm curious as to others' perspectives. What do you think, Adam?
I consider this important. There are a lot of really good use cases in here, as you pointed out. That graph from the International Data Corp (IDC) is quite compelling, and yeah, I think this article is actually well worth busy executives' time. It's very dense, I guess I would say. There's a lot of really good information here, and there's actually like easily a dozen great links to other Wall Street Journal articles recently that are related to AI and enterprise. So there's just really a lot to offer. I think it's important to stay across these use cases.
Yeah, and I agree.
Important. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was going to say I couldn't get the IDC numbers to work. I took their growth factor and I couldn't get their numbers, but it's roughly right. The number of their 86+% growth per year. Anyway, it's growing like crazy. Yeah, I think it's essential reading for credibility.
All right, we got two essentials, two importance. Paul or Amanda, you want to break the tie?
I don't think Amanda. She's still in the waiting room. Let her in. Morning, Amanda. Sorry, we just let you in the holding area too much. David, I would have voted for essential for a couple of different things. One, I think everything everyone said. I think it's multiple industry, it's multiple use cases, and I think it really reinforces how mainstream this has come and how the challenges these AI leaders have in choosing what to do, because there's so many opportunities and so many peers already doing stuff in their peer group. And that's why I like John's model a lot with the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, redesign, John, goodness, reduce, reuse, and reinvent.
Yeah,
John,
redesign. Reduce,
redesign.
redesign, reinvent.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
As a way to classify all these different opportunities.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going with essential. There's just a lot in here. It's just packed into one article. You can get a lot of different insights, a lot of inspiration for use cases. So
it's a must-read article. In terms of the news, it's not essential. It's a must-read from case studies and the fact that those companies that are listed are really serious companies with the cases that they're talking about being used, commercialized. It's not like a dream, right? So for that purpose,
we'll say essential read. Yeah, essential read, but not breaking news.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Splitting hairs here.
What do we have next, Ankaj?
Okay. The next one is from OpenAI, where OpenAI has opened a sort of new entity in Ireland to go around the GDPR regulations.
Yeah, I'll defer to someone else first on here. Amanda, since you just entered us, I'll put you on the spot right away.
I think, is this the one with Dublin? I'm trying to make sure I have the right article here. So this, I think, is optional because this is the one talking about what GDPR. So, I mean, I guess it depends, but I feel like, this is more of a, I don't know if I want to say a marketing piece, but I don't know if it's any deep dive information in this one.
Yeah, I see Paul says optional.
I agree.
Anybody have a vote for something more? I was borderline important only just to keep on companies' radars, the regulatory situation, making sure if you're a global brand that you're following them, but I could definitely be swayed to optional. Anybody else?
Yeah, David, just to highlight, I mean, I've been through four of these with different on vendor side. This is that they're now the 100,342nd company are going to Dublin or Europe to
Yeah.
get around to meet GDPR. So this is a nothing burger, and yes, it's do it, and it just shows, I think, some of the pressure they're starting to feel by Ministrol and others, and AI 21 Labs, and
Well, that's the big optional. You need the nothing burger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I agree. It's optional. I think it's interesting that they're shopping for regulatory venues, and I think we're going to see more of that.
Yeah. All right. Optional it is. What's next?
Okay. Next is around synthetic data from Sports Data Labs. So they have been issued a US patent covering a novel method of creating synthetic data to replace missing and outlier data values.
Yeah, I found this interesting. I don't know if I'd call it important or at all, but I personally I thought it was interesting. I also, particularly because there were two things that they were patenting, right? One had to do with measuring heart rate, which just triggered to me what happened with the Apple Watch. So I thought it was just interesting that another patent was issued for a certain type of way of measuring heart rates that I guess is particularly effective when someone is engaged in a active sport. The synthetic data generator is relatively interesting, but I saw it as optional. Ludo, what did you think?
I actually, as the article itself and applied to this particular company, it's optional. As something to note for executive, it might be important. Let me just put the argument forward. The argument would go that look, this is somewhat hard to patent, right? In general, the generative AI mechanisms and open models and the like. But here's a patent, and it's on the data front and the way that it's positioned. So this is where I believe personally, where IP will be fought in this space. And this is, it's granted, right? It's not an aspiration, it's a granted patent, and it's on the data front. And this is an example of how it might transpire going forward. So from that perspective, I would put it as important, as an example of where the fight will happen in IP world.
I'm thinking this is essential. I mean, read the thing it covers. The issued patent also covers an AI-based method for generating predictive artificial data values for any missing or outlying values within a sensor-based data set, which can be applicable to all types of biological sensor data, regardless of sensor type. So if that holds, I mean, it's everything that has to do with humans and animals, and synthetic. I mean, you're not building these models without synthetic data. If this patent holds, man, and these guys have dough, this is a big deal.
That's a good point, too. Yeah. So I would go with essential, John, too.
Yeah, I'd go with this. And I said animals. No, why not crops? I mean, crops are a biological system.
It probably, if you read the patent, I'm sure.
It's probably narrow. Yeah, I was narrow,
but it's just
heart rate data, right? It's only. It sounded like it was only synthetic data related to this use case. Or did I misunderstand it?
I don't think he misunderstood it. I think the claim of the folks in the article is it's a foundational patent. I haven't read the patent, so that would say that it is as broad as the thing on the left talks about. And I would say it's essential because your patent attorney, if you're doing anything with data, your patent attorney needs to take this to ground and say, are we exposed?
And also, this is for the companies. This is where they should look for patenting.
Yeah, I think it's a stupid patent, but whatever. There's lots of stupid patents out there.
Yeah.
All right. So essential.
Yeah, I will just add, as for a company that 25 years ago, we patented shopping baskets at open market, and that was eventually purchased by Patent Troll and has generated hundreds of millions of dollars of fees.
Sure.
It's all about the patent library, and this is Sport of Kings. And John, I want to agree with you that if we're actually opening up patent libraries, risk about who owns the patent library data for my industry.
Right.
Boy, they are getting some serious hammers, certainly in the States on that.
Yeah, and you have guys like Mervold, right? And his thing, he goes, billionaire sits there, buys these patents, then decides how badly to enforce them, or how aggressively to enforce them.
Yeah. A lot of essentials today. Goodness.
All right. You convinced me. I apparently skimmed this. Oh,
Sorry, it's me.
Ring.
okay. I think this might be our last one.
Yeah. So the next one is from Replicate. So Replicate is a open source GenAI model startup, and they have recently raised $40 million in a Series B funding round led by A16Z.
Can I say once more why I love Androzine? I mean, my goodness, this is Cloudera all over again, I think, isn't it? I mean, he's, basically doing, I think it's important, not essential, but I think it seems to me like great strategy, right?
Can you give a little more depth on that?
Sure. I mean, if they're going to start, hosting all these open, models, right, and become a environment to do that, makes sense to me.
So this is a direct competitor to Hugging Face, correct?
Think so.
No, not quite. Hugging Face, I feel, is more a place you can go and like use models. They are actually, as I see it, completely hosting AI solutions for people.
Yeah.
Like if you're familiar with Character AI, I understand it's currently the site on the internet where people are spending the most time, right? And it's in chat rooms with AI characters, either that they create themselves or that other people have created to replicate people, right? And so Replicate is the company that basically like is hosting that for them and providing the solution. It's also interesting that they're backing all of these open source solutions, from Stable Diffusion video, to Llama. So it's I think it's really promising. I would definitely rate it as important. But it's encouraging to me to see this is really going to help accelerate the open source solutions coming to market in a way that's scalable and really enterprise class in a new way.
But I want to make sure I understand. So this is yet another cloud provider. So they will compete with AWS. I'm a creator. I could go to AWS or I could go to Replicate to get more of a bundled set of solutions. And they're going to have to get GPUs.
But they're providing the whole service around selecting like a suite of models that you want to plug together to build a solution, and then hosting that solution for you. So they're doing the full integration. They're not just providing cloud hosting.
Yeah, and but to your thing about getting GPUs, in the text it says that they have good relationship with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
If I'm NVIDIA, I will give these guys GPUs because I don't want to just give it to the big cloud providers who are also vertically integrating into my space. I didn't see this vertically integrating at all. So I want to fund the service layer. I don't want to just fund the folks who are cloud providers because they're going to be a threat. Just like, Amazon took out FedEx and UPS, they're going to do the same thing to NVIDIA over time.
And NVIDIA is also an investor in this round.
Yeah. So I think, anyway, that NVIDIA is playing pretty strategically, I think.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like important for this one.
Yeah. And David, I just want to acknowledge Michael's comments as well. Michael, thank you for all your comments online. They're very, very helpful, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the engagement. All right. I think that's a wrap for today. We'll see everybody same time, same place tomorrow morning.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.